rocking out dodgeball here. Mr. JD Walker rocking out his Philadelphia Union jersey, and Brandon Kay trying to survive, trying to hold on to the hope, the faith, and the belief that the underdog Miami Heat are not done yet, and they're going to be able to survive and persevere and take on and take out the Denver Nuggets there. We're going to talk about all of that in due time. But Brandon, you okay down there?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
He's like, we're good. Done. Move on. Shut up.
All right. I'm all right. Everything's fine.
So I figure let's start this off. I mean, obviously, the biggest news around the world is the fact that Mr. Lionel Messi, arguably the GOAT of the soccer/football world, has signed with MLS and given the league a renewed credibility. Combined with the fact that David Beckham has did it back in 2007. I have gotten breakdowns somewhat of the contract that he is getting through Miami, to say nothing of the deal he's got with Apple TV, to say nothing of the deal he's got with Adidas going on. There is a lot of money being thrown here to a guy at the end of his career who, while is a name draw and drawing already massive ticket sales, to me, honestly, there's some concerns here. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but this has the potential, if things go awry, of being just absolutely crash and burn and an embarrassing look for MLS if something goes south. Before we get into that, do you guys have any thoughts on this? First off,
I think that it is a positive move. It's the Beckham deal 15 years ago was huge, and that brought MLS up from a AA level league compared to the rest of the world up to AAA. The hope here is that this brings the MLS up from AAA up to the majors. While they may not be the Premier League or La Liga or any of the other big leagues around the world, but if they can be on par with Liga MX and just be in the conversation, it's going a long way. It's the fastest growing sport in the United States. And for somebody coming here with the hardware that Messi has as the defending World Cup champ, this is bigger than Beckham. In my opinion, it's like it's Beckham plus Pele put together when Pele came to the Cosmos in the 70s, because Pele had the championship pedigree on an international level that Beckham did not have since the England never won a World Cup or really threatened much for one. Yeah, fantastic club career with Manchester United, of course, and just is a national legend. And the ironic part of all this is that as a part of the deal for David Beckham to come to the league in 2007, they let him buy an expansion team at a discount cost of $25 million. That expansion team is Inter Miami. And it was worth probably around 500 million before the Messi news.
Not even a bad turnaround at that point.
It doubled overnight, just about. That's a heck of a return on investment. And the players around the world, especially the power is in ownership and the business opportunities that this could have for Messi and for the league in general. Growing the pie for everybody. We have the particulars of the contracts. He's getting a percentage of the Apple TV League Pass sales, a percentage of the jersey sales from Adidas, an ownership stake in the club, similar to what Beckham had, because I believe he had a stake with the Galaxy before the expansion team stipulation. So this has potential to go very well.
I heard he's getting 30% of concession stands too on that one. It's a lot of money.
Well, see, not even that.
Whatever. He's getting it. And also, this is an opportunity for Messi to come to relative obscurity, compared to, this is, while he's one of the most famous athletes.
Barcelona took a shot at him over that too.
Right. And while he's one of the most famous athletes in the world, he might actually be able to leave his house without getting a mobbed crowd of people as much as he would anywhere in South America or in Europe. So
I actually disagree with that.
Yeah, like or at least it won't be as crazy. It won't, but but he has homes in the Miami area. It's kind of like a vacation home of sorts for him already. So there is a tie in. This has been rumored for a while. I think it's great for the league. While expectations, I think that while there's a potential for it, namely the biggest issue being that Miami currently sits at the bottom of the table for the entire league, but that will change after the mid-season transfer window. I believe July or August is when Messi's actually supposed to report to the team, since his contract runs through July 1st. So
July
8th is the earliest. July 21st is what they're thinking for La Liga.
Yeah,
aren't they 5-0-12?
They are at the bottom of the East. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. I'd argue that's one of the best records, undefeated.
Not quite that direction, no. That's the one. I gotta say, that's the one thing about MLS that does bother me, is that it's like, is it win, lose, draw, or is it win, draw, lose? It actually depends on what you're looking at. So a lot of times for the write-ups that I do, I usually have to say I'd rather do points in X number of games, because there's confusion there. Now, right now, in this case,
it's one of those things, like a lot of things, it's of metric versus standard almost.
Yeah. Right now they have 5 wins. They are 5 wins, 12 losses, no draws. That's the way they are right now. So 5-0-12 can look good. 5-12-0, not so, but the bottom line is right now, that team is a cellar dweller right now. 17 points, 6 overall. They've only got 15 points.
At that logic, they could be 12-5-0. That's a good record.
But in this case, the question is, can they use that to turn around? Because here's the funny thing about this. Do you know how much Miami is paying him? Forget Apple, forget Adidas, forget all the rest of that. Miami themselves.
I think.
What's that?
50 million, 53 million was the number I saw.
53.7 million. So in his particular case,
no state tax on that either.
No state tax.
That's another big one.
That is your highest in the U.S. right now. So it puts him at the 5th highest overall, and just a hair notch below Steph Curry. And honestly, when it comes down to it, a world higher.
It still boggles my mind that Devin Booker is at the top of this list.
Also a point for his own right, yeah. But the fact that an MLS player, the highest before him was a player with the Chicago Fire, making $8 million a year. In his case, Lionel Messi making 53 and change. And again, that to say nothing about the Apple TV deal or the Adidas T-shirts or shirt sales and everything like that. I mean, all of that money, state tax-free money. I mean, dude. Now my question on this case here, let's pretend for a second that basically he comes to the massive fanfare and he has an ACL injury first week out.
Then Lloyd's of London or whoever is insured those contracts, because they
only you and I would know what the hell Lloyd's of London is.
Big numbers. Then they're taking a bath on this. I mean, it's that would be tragic. But I really, this is. He also had an offer on the table from the Saudis, who apparently are trying to buy up everything and everybody in every sport. I think I saw that they had an offer of the equivalent of $100 million to Messi, that Messi turned down the Saudis to take this deal with MLS, which
and apparently also, part ownership
at least gives the Saudis something they can't buy.
Yeah, for now. But he apparently also gets some kind of partial ownership of the club as well.
Yes.
So the overall, I mean, I'm really curious to see after, we'll say the end of the season, November. With everything with MLS season pass, with everything with the shirt sales, how much he is going to bank and what that would be prorated for an entire season. Because it could easily be 150, 180 million. Because MLS season pass just exploded. People are buying that thing out the wazoo now.
Could he end up being the highest paid athlete over one calendar year? Could he be?
100%.
In 2023?
Because in his case, like I said, there's so many fringe benefits involved, to say nothing of the fact that, like I said, state tax, leave that out of it. I mean, if ticket sales are any indication, he is worldwide phenom. So not only is MLS Season Pass going to kick off here massively, but also worldwide. So Apple's very shrewd with everything that they do, and they do not do something like this without really playing out every single fall on this. But there is also the possibility that if he has some kind of a massive injury, if something comes out that's going to hurt his cred, that this deal could be a massive punch in the face to MLS, to Apple TV. You can see Apple TV maybe cutting ties with it because they have an opt-out clause. So there is the possibility here that you sync with this, you rise with this. That if this goes south, MLS may be basically an embarrassment to the world of soccer.
It's a big gamble. I think it's a worthy gamble.
Mm-hmm. Oh, agreed.
But with any one of these kind of massive contracts in any sport, there's always a risk of injury or just stuff not working out. But this is the kind of risk you take for somebody who is currently at the top of the world in the most popular sport on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So they threw everything in the kitchen sink at him. And he's one of the few athletes on the planet that actually deserves that. We'll see what happens on the field, but this is a game changer for the entire sport, and that's exactly what they're going for. I mean, this managed to, for a few minutes at least, upstage the NBA Finals. This is the biggest sports item. Usually for anything with the United States soccer, whether it's MLS or the national team or whatever, is usually not at the top of the news cycle for good reasons.
And considering the team in that city is in the finals.
Yes.
So that, yeah. It was major news, and definitely even as the basketball fan acknowledged and saw how much kind of this talk it got. And yeah, I mean, again, and I think, for me, my obvious thought was the whole MJ to the Wizards deal. But I really think this is going to be better than that for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, he's not coming off of 3-year layoff where he hasn't played the sport at a high level. He's not at that age. I mean, Messi's, he's up there, but he's 35. I think Jordan at the Wizards was 37, 38. And yeah, I mean, I think this is going to bring a lot more. I don't want to say casuals because that almost kind of sounds a little negative, but me, I guess I'm in that sense, but more a casual kind of to put more eyes on the sport for better or worse. And I think the league is going to grow, whether in viewership, sponsorship, jersey sales, and stuff like that. Because even with our local teams over the last few years, I've seen the teams represented more and more. So I think this is going to be another jump start to that and really give it another push in the right direction.
Now, let me ask you this question. I just checked the numbers just now. Inter Miami at Drive Pink Stadium is pulling in on average about 16.6, 16.7 a game, and home attendance. Their capacity is only 18,000. So it's not like, I know that they're like 90+% of this.
It's one of the smallest stadiums in the league.
I know. And the funny thing about this, from a ticket sales standpoint, that could almost in some ways benefit the rest of the league more than it might with Miami. Because you get some place that doesn't sell out that often, or you get a place like, I don't know what their schedule is going to be, Charlotte, Atlanta,
it's going to be a U.S. tour.
Yeah, but in this case, I mean, okay, what are they going to do? Get an extra 1,300 ticket sales per game on that? You'll get the merch, fine. I get that part of it.
Unless it's all standing room.
I don't know. I mean, you can't even go that
even
much.
Still, you can only hold people in a certain.
You got fire codes you got to deal with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, but you can only go up by literally 1,300 average tickets a game, and that's nothing. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move a few games to
football
whatever the
stadium.
heck the Dolphins Stadium is called this week, since it changes
Oh
names.
yeah, that's not the worst idea.
Maybe they'll move a few of the bigger matches there, so they can they could sell a few thousand more tickets.
Yeah, I mean,
You
this
know,
isn't like,
you're going from 18,000 up to 70,000 or however
50,
many.
70,000, yeah.
Oh, and plus the Link and MetLife would sell out in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I could almost see a lot of other teams benefiting from Messi going on the road. I don't know, like I said, if they played Charlotte or Charlotte and Atlanta, are typically the two biggest that are out there every single year. So
Seattle too.
Seattle,
Although they don't play regularly because of there isn't as much interconference crossover in MLS.
Yeah, in this case, right now it's Atlanta, Charlotte, and then Seattle top three. Atlanta drawing 46,000, Seattle at third drawing 31.9 on average. But
Dallas get a good picture with McConaughey.
Dallas FC.
Boston is McConaughey.
FC Dallas is drawing 18.3. But like I said, in this case, I think it's almost going to benefit. I mean, look what happened with the Red Bulls. I mean, August 26th, those tickets went from like $25 to bare minimum 400, upwards of like 8,000. I mean, it was almost like borderline like Taylor Swift level for Major League Soccer.
Now, and also it is worth noting that Beckham did win. Did bring the LA Galaxy to 2 MLS Cup titles in 2011 and 2012. So it did pay. So that one did pay off on the field for the team as well.
But
so if Miami gets anywhere close to that, especially as a newer team, they're only in, I think, their third or fourth year.
Third year, yeah. But I think, I mean, listen, there's a lot of upside for the league. I don't see necessarily. I mean, they're on the field. I think there's good upside for Miami, but I'm not sure if Miami individually is going to make out like this, like the league will, or Messi himself. I mean, like I said, the pure bank on that. But I think when it comes down to it, Adidas and Apple are going to win on this, and people may look back on Miami and be like, you know what, they didn't get much out of this.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's also not necessarily the same level on each point. So like I said, I got a weird feeling on this. Like I said, when I saw the ticket sales, this isn't like basically NYCFC being at Yankee Stadium, where you draw 20 out of 45,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is 16.6 to 18. So, and again, being the fact that Miami is paying him $53.7 million per year, which obviously, however that prorates in this case, 20-ish million. There's a lot of faith that Miami is putting in him. And the worst thing that could happen is he comes off injured somehow, or something comes out, and then this is a black mark on the team and to a degree the league.
From as far as I know, there's, Messi is relatively clean as far as like personal controversies. I haven't really followed that.
I get it. I'm playing devil's advocate. I get that. But I also, like I said, at the same time, that this could be interesting in some ways.
It is. And I think that while you'll see the hype for the rest of this year, but really next season is where, with the first full season is going to be the real key. As you mentioned with the attendance bump, I don't know what sort of schedule flexibility there is in season, but I would imagine, next year that Inter Miami will be splitting games between their 18,000 seat home stadium, and they'll have some of the bigger matches at the Dolphin Stadium. Because there's I think that there will be a demand there. Right. Plus international friendlies, things like that.
Sure. But it'll be interesting to see, at least for this season, if it's enough to vault them up to the new planned expanded playoff format. It's a bit of a jump, but I think if they have a good run and he starts picking up a goal a game on this, which, given the fact he's pulled in over 500 for getting international, if he's healthy, he could clean up in this league. But we'll find out. We'll find out in due time, and I'm curious on that. But
they only need to get up to 9th to make the
exactly, and then it's a new season from there.
Yeah,
because the play-in format. Brandon, the play-in format, right?
April Foolishness, yeah, my favorite.
Yeah. Oh shit! I never put this.
Oh, God.
Hang on a second. Yeah. Well, in this case, do you want to talk about that one?
All right. So here's the deal. I know through the Eastern Conference playoff run, the Heat, even with their skid with Boston, they still were the top dog at the moment until proven otherwise. Now, this series here, not so much. Now, I understand the whole, there's still the 8th seed going up against the 1 seed that has been the top of the West virtually all season. I get that. But after the test of what the Heat had gone through and beating who they beat, and a lot of people thought that 2 of those 3 teams had a chance, in the Celtics and Bucks, had a legit chance to win the title, maybe more so than Denver in a lot of people's eyes. You know, you'd think at the end of the day, with just a 7-game series, that it doesn't matter the seed 1, 8, 2, 15, 18, doesn't matter, that for 4 to 7 games they could compete and stuff like that. And going to Denver, obviously, to start the series is going to be tough, and they were able to grind one out. And in their typical up to that point Heat format, in game 2, right, they go into that fourth quarter being down, and the Heat, and Jimmy Butler, even though he wasn't playing fantastic, right, he wasn't Jimmy Butler that we saw through the Eastern Conference. He had, as he does, made timely shots, made timely plays, as did a lot of guys with the 3-ball. Duncan Robinson went off, and they were able to overcome that deficit, hold on to the lead and win, and beat Denver for their first playoff loss in this 2023 playoff run. But then to go home, you feel good. You got 2 games at home. Could you go up 2-1? Is that out of the realm of possibility? And this game 3, it's a little flat, but they're going back and forth. They had a little momentum going into halftime. Made it a little bit close again with that. But then in that second half of game 3, it started to dwindle away very fast. And Denver took a, pun intended, mile-high lead and really never saw anything of it again. And then in game 4, God, I don't know what I don't know what team I saw in game 4. Because again, with that, yes, you lose in that fashion, but they prove time after time, and not even this year alone, in these, ever since Butler came to the team, that backs against the wall, they can come back out and go toe-to-toe and not lose, multiple games. I mean, we saw the Boston series, but not typically lose multiple games in such fashion, especially at home. And now they have 3 straight home losses. They have to go now to Denver to try and hold on to this series and clamor on. And I mean, unless you're LeGoat James, I mean, 3-1 is a tough task to ask for anybody. And the ask, even in this game 5, to go win a second game in a row in Denver, because it would be then 2 wins in a row in Denver after losing 2 in a row at home. It's tough. But the Heat, with their mentality, and again, we bang this drum all the time, the Heat culture, can they rile off one and make it 3-2, come home and kind of take it from there? But I don't know. I ride with my team. I picked them in 7, so this kind of if that's the case, they have to win tonight and kind of obviously win the rest of the series. But man, it's.
But as you saw with the Celtics series, winning game 4 is harder than winning the first 3 combined. So even no matter how playoff trained Denver is, it is still trying to get that 4th victory. So this may not entirely be over just yet.
Jokic is playing at such a high level. Miami has held up better than I expected, given the circumstances. Because Bam Adebayo is the closest Miami has to a player who can stop Jokic, but he's still giving about 2 inches and 20 pounds at least,
Mhm.
and Jokic is just.
I don't even think that's that. I think that's being generous to Bam. I think it's more than that.
Yeah, and just it's a mismatch nightmare, and he can hit it from anywhere. There was during one of the games the other night, I think it was game 3. One of the announcers on TV compared Jokic to Arvydas Sabonis in his prime. I don't mean Arvydas Sabonis when he was older and had already been injured and came to the NBA and playing with Portland. I mean Sabonis in his prime, like the '88 Soviet Olympic team that wiped the floor with the U.S. college kids team in a performance that embarrassed the U.S. enough to come up with the Dream Team for '92. That Arvydas Sabonis is probably the closest level of dominance that we're seeing from Jokic right now. And just the gap in fundamentals that we're seeing with European players over American players, I think that gap has never been wider. Where just the so much more fundamentally sound, and a lot of league just doesn't have an answer. And we didn't even hear about this for much of the year because Jokic plays in Denver, and most of the NBA media only focuses on the big cities and whatever LeBron had for breakfast this week. And it's like half the league doesn't exist. And Denver out west didn't really move the needle in the national coverage as much as they should, because he's been playing like this for most of the season in relative obscurity compared to, LA, Miami, even Giannis in the Bucks. That you see more coverage there. So it isn't even just a small market versus big market thing. It's just the NBA has their stars that they promote, and up until now, Jokic was not on that list and was not receiving the proper amount of attention. And even I think Jalen Rose or one of the other talking heads said as much. Like, we need to, this is on us for not covering this team and this player more, because Jokic is just making everybody look silly.
No, but it really is at the point where it's because he is not this outgoing, loves to bring attention, not in like an arrogant or cocky way, but just kind of be the life of the room. Like, he doesn't have that Shaq star power. He doesn't even have the Luka or Giannis kind of, sense of humor and stuff. I mean, he's got the sense of humor, but it's almost as drier. He's got this, and I hate even bringing him up, but this almost KD thing where he just wants to play basketball. And I know a lot of the politics and the logistics of the NBA and kind of star power is kind of, with Kevin Durant, and I'm not trying to get down into that rabbit hole, but with Jokic, again, it's being in Denver. It's the lack of, I don't want to say star power, the lack of Hollywood star power.
Yes.
That's, and because if he were in LA or New York or even in Miami, Chicago, like he would get the attention. It's just, I don't know how much he would play with it, right? Like he would give into it and kind of want to really embrace it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. He's got this international thing where it's like, we just want to play our game. Like, we don't care about all this other stuff. We don't care about the cameras and the flashy photography of it. Like that, and he is playing at this Shaq level of dominance. But because it's not the alley-oops and the dunks and the mowing people down, I think people don't want to, kind of give that comparison. But it is. He's just elevating. He's just more fundamental is what it is. Yes. And he is elevating that as a center. I mean, we saw Tim Duncan kind of, right? He's big fundamental. But Jokic is really kind of being the point guard as the center. And Shaq was in the point guard at center. He's like, I'm the center and nobody's stopping me. Right. And we saw it with a lot of guys of that size, and the whole dynamic of having that guard in Jamal Murray who can facilitate all around Jokic, whether it be shooting threes or getting to the basket. And then the other guys around him in Bruce Brown and all these guys that really embrace the style of play that they are trying to run through Jokic. And look where they are. They're 3-1 in the finals. Yes, they're going up against a inferior team, but like at this point, to go back to my starting this whole thing here, what I was saying about the Heat, and just at this point, it's not 1-8. It's just two really good teams. But I think yes, I'll go with the Heat to win tonight because I go down with the ship.
You have to.
I have to. Hey, pick them in 7, so they have to win tonight. But I'm on a shaky ground here.
Now, one other comparison, I think, with how, as you mentioned, comparing him to Duncan, another comparison this reminds me of Alex Ovechkin in the NHL. Ever since he came into the league, Cindy Crosby has always been the one getting all of the media attention and all of the hype, and in my opinion, too much hype. And Ovechkin, his whole career, has just gone out and scored goals. And he didn't have the Stanley Cup for a while, but in 2018 finally broke through, but same kind of workhorse, just show up and play attitude without the Hollywood factor. And you see a lot of that with you. A lot of that same stuff with Duncan previously and with Jokic now.
Do you think they can win tonight?
Do I think Miami can win tonight?
Yes.
I think that it is do or die. I think they can. Winning in Denver is going to be tough, but they did win game 2. So it has, it's happened. I'm not confident, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think that they have a chance to stretch it out, but I think it ends tonight.
I mean, other than Denver, the Heat are the only team. Those two teams haven't faced an elimination game once this postseason. So now, obviously now in the Heat situation that changes. But yeah, they're going to have to come out with an all-time game plan to either they have something that nobody's gotten on Jokic yet, or they kind of just let Jokic cook and they just put all their focus on everybody else, which I think they're going to do, and just really have Jokic try and beat them 1-on-5, and try and do it that way. Because I really think that's the only hope. But Miami, if they're not hitting shots, it doesn't matter if they hold the Nuggets to 90 points. They're going to lose.
They need a classic Butler performance.
We need Himmy Butler.
40-50 in order to hang with Denver. It's possible. He's done it, but he's done it enough times. Right when we think that the Heat are done for, Jimmy Butler manages to pull 45 points out of the air. So I think the Heat need that kind of performance, and it's possible. But they need that in order to hang with Jokic in the zone that he's in right now. It's like he's like a real life cheat code.
Going back to last postseason, yes, it's an elimination game, but Game 7, it's both teams. Anything can happen. Before that, you remember that Game 6 in Boston, which was an elimination game.
Yes.
Jimmy Butler went into Boston and put up 56. It was LeBron-esque. So that was the last time they were really in a true elimination game. and we'll see what happens tonight. But everybody else has to step up, and they got to make shots, play defense, and anything can happen.
Now let me throw something at you. I ran through the ratings on this, and COVID 2020, 2021 notwithstanding, the TV ratings on this is the lowest that they have been since 2009. Lower than last year, lower than basic. I mean, like I said, they beat the COVID years. Does that bother you at all, or you just chalk that up to me just being Denver, Miami? Golden State, Boston last year averaged all the way through a 6.6 rating, 12.5 million views. This is down by about 1 million views a game right now. Do you think ABC is concerned at all?
I think that TV ratings are down across the board for the entirety of television, and the entire industry is having major issues right now. But the only thing that gets any ratings on TV for any channel anywhere anymore are sports and live events and news coverage. So while they might be down compared to previous years, they're still doing better than just about anything else on television right now.
2018 was Golden State and Cleveland. They averaged 17.5 million viewers. This year, just 5 years later, they're averaging 11.5. So that's, to me, like I said, that is a massive drop. What's that?
A lot of viewers aren't even measured anymore because they're watching on streaming services.
They factor that into it now. They figured that one out. Because in this case,
I don't think they have. Like they say that. I don't know how accurate those numbers.
There is a way to do it now because it's based on the first 7 days afterwards. But Hulu being a great example because Hulu is owned by ABC and Disney and all that. Who knows for how much longer? Disney's apparently selling a bunch of stuff off, but I don't know. I mean, I think in this case it could be a concern in this, given the way that Disney is going right now, that these low ratings might be scaring them a little bit more. And there's been some talk that they may sell off ABC and ESPN if the numbers aren't there.
Who buys them, though?
I don't know. That I can't say in this case. Maybe they go independent. There's a weird thing that's been circulating, believe it or not, of George Lucas buying back Lucasfilm. That came from a mildly credible source, though. But
that or get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, or either one.
Well, yeah, we can go on to that one at any point, but in this case here, those TV ratings, Disney right now, who is hemorrhaging money and closed a lot of stuff, Galaxy's Edge, for example, they're looking at these TV ratings and maybe panicking a little bit, and this may bode to a point where they're not even going to cover the NBA Finals. I mean, you look at what's happened with the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. They're on like TNT and True TV and all this kind of stuff. They were on ABC previously.
That's because TNT paid and True TV paid handsomely.
They did
to split the.
They're averaging about 2.5.
They alternate networks every year. So, like, it was on ABC last year, TNT this year.
But will ABC? I mean, are they part of? Is ABC guaranteed to have it next year? And would they want it?
Yes, they signed the contract. So ABC and ESPN are locked into these deals. But where this does factor in is the fact that NBA rights league contract for TV, those negotiations are coming up. Mm-hmm. So I do agree with you on is that the league thinks the league has a number in mind. I don't know what that number is, however many billion that they want out of their next round of TV contracts. Mm-hmm. ESPN has been a big chunk of that, with Turner being the other half. Mm-hmm. Turner now owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, which their issues are well documented, and there's a reckoning coming. Winter is coming for all sports on TV and for television, mm-hmm. just because the money and the numbers being thrown around are unsustainable when everybody is canceling their subscriptions.
Yeah, well, this is a paywall world, which is why all the stuff that we're going to do is probably never be behind a paywall as long as I can allow it. So that's my rule.
And then they're going to wonder why people aren't interested.
Well, like I said, paywalls are the reason why. I mean, mm-hmm. We're working on a contract right now with somebody who wants something on a paywall for $25 a ticket, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's the one you already know about, but yeah, we're working on that behind the scenes. Gentlemen, any final thoughts on this before I go into something else that intrigues me? All right.
Think we're good here?
Just go be competitive. Like, come on.
Like, don't go out like a bitch.
Like, really, like, look like a pro team out there. Don't look like bitches.
Yeah. And the final, Denver Nuggets 108, Miami 62.
What next? LeBron went to Taco Bell tonight. What did he
did,
order
yeah.
right after this break?
LeBron James recently went to Taco Bell. You wouldn't believe what he ordered after this. All right. You know what? I want to talk about this in this case. Luke Voigt. I like Luke Voigt. I've always liked Luke Voigt. He's a good, he's a likable dude. He
Can this deal be voided?
A voided contract, yes.
A voided? Can we do that?
So it looked like a pro team like the Oakland A's. Dude, they're averaging like 8,700.
Hey, they won 5 in a row, so clearly they found something.
Yeah.
Are they now above the 62 Mets Mendoza line yet with Bet5?
They're not there yet, but they're going to try and fight for it, probably like the Tigers did, where the Tigers, I think, what was it, however many, 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2003 Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point, the A's are what, 130 years old?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with the
Mets
A's
were literally non-existent. Didn't exist.
And they're going to a city that is literally sinking right now. Yeah, actually, no, they're above. They're 17-50, so they got a 254 win percentage. Congratulations there. They're still
slightly above.
They're still 25.5 games out of first right now.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
That Tigers
Which
team,
really, though, think about that. That doesn't sound as insane as it really should.
25.5?
Yeah.
I guess, but
hey, you sweep one of those teams you sweep the team at the top. Hey, that's 22 games. Now you're cooking.
So what you're saying is basically how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
2018 didn't the Baltimore Orioles finish in last in the AL East, like 60 games behind the Red Sox? It was something crazy like that. You're going to see something like that with the A's wins the AL West this year. That team is just an abomination in so many different ways.
It makes me sad. It really does, given the long history and as an 80s kid growing up and knew that was Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco, the Tony La Russa era like that. The earthquake and the World Series and Eckersley in '88. To see all of that and go to Vegas, which personally, Vegas is overrated to me. I went to Vegas once. I was unimpressed by it, but I'm also more of a country boy. But the problem is, like I said, now Vegas has will have 3 different sports franchises. The only thing they don't have is basketball.
Also, their plea for $300 million of state funding to assist with stadium construction in Vegas is not going well in the Nevada legislature.
It is not.
Yeah.
So I believe they have until the end of this week to figure that out, or the clock is ticking.
We're going to get an extension.
Surprised they haven't asked Uncle Stevie to pay for it.
Dude, Uncle Stevie's starting to get some hate now. There's a little bit of Fire Stevie now out there because the team is struggling.
So we can go to the Wilpons again, or some person that actually doesn't care. Yeah,
dude,
no thanks.
I think a lot of Mets fans like yourself were expecting greatness. We're disappointed by last year and certainly disappointed by this year.
Buck is dead man walking if things don't turn around soon. Though.
That's what I was going to say. He I think at this point unofficially is on the hot seat.
I still have more problem with Epler than I do Buck.
What's that?
I still have a problem more with Epler than Buck.
Yeah.
Who might save the day a little bit is Mr. Luke Voigt, who in this case signed a minor league deal. Now his 4th team since last year. San Diego, Washington, Milwaukee this year, and now with the Mets on a minor league deal, assuming everything goes through and he comes up. But he is now the very latest in a very, 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 very long list of Mets players who played for the Yankees. I have the list in front of me since 2010. He is now the 26th player who has played for the Mets, but after playing for the Yankees.
That's since 2010?
2010, yeah.
Sounds about right.
And that's more than one player a year. switching
I know.
from the Yankees to the Mets.
You know, I mean, if you look at from, like I said, Sanchez, but I mean, just say like 20, we'll go 2018 in this case.
Curtis Granderson.
Yeah, I was gonna say just up to 2018. Sanchez, Betances, Robbie Cano, Todd Frazier, and then also Brandon Drury, Rich Hill, Cameron Maben. That's right, he played there. Billy McKinney, Stephen Tarpley. What else we have? Mason Williams, Eduardo Nunez.
I completely forgot about the existence of half of these players.
Jason Shreve, yeah, Adeni Hechavarria, Anthony Swarzak. All of that is basically players that played for the Mets since 2018 that played for the Yankees previously. And how many did I rifle off there? Like 15, 16? You know, I mean,
half of them I completely forgot ever played for them.
Dude, I know. I mean, granted, some of them were a cup of coffee, like Gary Sanchez, for example.
Gary Sanchez was there for 5 minutes earlier this year.
You know,
at least Gary Sanchez had a fucking RBI. At least he contributed in the 2 hours that he was there.
Dude, and apparently he's doing really well over in San Diego, which I think is great. But it's funny because the Mets are becoming the Yankees' sloppy seconds, and and the cast-offs, the rebounds. You know, and I guess a lot of it has to do with the fact that if you play for the Yankees, you can play for New York. And the Mets are selling it as this is a more chill vibe without the Yankee pressure. I think that's what they're doing.
Is this list specifically first a Yankee, then a Met, or both ways?
Yeah. Jason Shreve is an exception a little bit because he played for the Yankees, then played for the Mets, and then went back to the Yankees. Right. But I'm still going to count it anyway because he played for the Yankees first.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Every single one of them. I went through every single player that played for both teams. I organized. I did this Excel spreadsheet and everything. And yeah, every single one of those players played for the Yankees first and then went over. And that's just
what about the other way around?
I don't have that list. I dumped that list.
But it can't be. I don't think it says.
I'd have to recreate the Excel spreadsheet. I was looking at it more from this perspective, just because of the fact that it's always been like it's a hill I'll die on. And I've talked about that, but I can create something to figure out the other way around on it because there have been a few.
There have been, but not as many. At least not.
Yeah, I'm talking in the same time period at least.
But this is now the second Yankee castoff from like 20. Who played for the Yankees in 2021 that played for the Mets this season.
Well, a lot of you got to keep in mind, up until the past 3 years, you had Freddie and Jeff Coupon picking up everybody off of the trash heap. So they've signed everybody's cast offs. So why not take a flyer on a player that doesn't have to move? Yeah,
but in this case, I mean, Voit was doing okay. He was batting like 221 up in Milwaukee. I mean, not phenomenal, but there's no harm in the Mets doing this. I mean, you do the minor league deal. If it doesn't fly, you're not paying him a whole bunch of money. You give him his walking papers. You don't have to sign him to a major league deal. There's a lot of upside to the Mets in this particular case. And frankly, for Voit, there's a little bit of upside as well because you know what? Maybe he can get himself back and get something stable again.
One thing I can say with confidence is that whatever happens with the Mets for the rest of the year, Luke Voit will not make a damn difference one way or another for whatever happens with the team. They have way bigger issues. And if
I was waiting for the pain to come out of you on that one. I knew something was coming.
For their issues, then things are even more screwed than we ever know.
Right now, the Mets are not
exactly the savior that's going to come in and
it's not.
But turn things around.
Okay, we have a designated hitter that doesn't hit. We have a bullpen that couldn't even pitch in a wiffle ball game. We have the defense of I don't even know. It's just everything is terrible. It really is. It's just a lineup that can't be consistent. A lineup in terms of who is put in the lineup is not consistent. We have the best catcher right now.
The Mets currently have the fifth worst ERA in baseball right now.
Yeah, and his
pitching staff.
Yeah, and as Kyle says in the comments now, this is what this really is it's a stopgap for a few weeks while Alonso recovers.
Mm-hmm.
So, given what's out there right now as a last minute pickup just to try and plug a hole for a few weeks, I guess Voit will work.
Mm-hmm.
Can't make things work much worse than they already are. But I will echo the thoughts of our colleague Sammy D from our group chat that the silver lining for the Mets this year is that they did not sign DeGrom, because that looks better and better every day that that the Mets did not bring him back, because that has been an absolute disaster for Texas.
But it's sad.
This is only year one.
It's really sad, though, that the best move we've made in a calendar year has been the move that we didn't make.
Yep.
But if you look at the lineup that they had with Scherzer, with Verlander, to have, like I said, the 5th highest ERA in baseball right now, is
our pitching is worse than Shark Tank outtakes. Like, it's so bad, bro.
And like I said,
having the average age of your starting rotation be
71
years old, it would be a bad idea.
You're gonna have a bad time. But like I said, it's disappointing. She won't watch a single game. She refuses to right now because
I don't think I've watched a single Mets game all year.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of haven't either. It's more glorified background noise, if anything. But Yankee games, I couldn't care less about. But
if it weren't for my Heat playoff run, I don't know if I would be, because I definitely have been all wrapped up in that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had way better things to do and watch than to try and figure out how to watch a Mets game. Actually, I take it back. I did watch part of one game when I was over at your house. That's
right. We had something on.
We just and that was what it was. We just had it on as background noise.
You know what? I'm going to throw something in here. I just want to get some thoughts on that. I'm just going to post the picture.
Now this.
Go for it, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just got hit by the ball. First off, I cannot listen to him because if you close your eyes, you feel like you're in a museum exhibit getting a narrated tour by those headsets with the Walkman that they have you put around your neck, and then it's just but they can get that sweet glory of the back off the head.
He's a real life Muppet.
Oh man!
So for those who don't know, in this case, he got clocked with a foul ball during a Yankee Red Sox game. And he's an 84-year-old guy, so getting hit with a foul ball is no picnic.
And but hold on. He's watching. He is paid to watch and call the game. So he's watching this happen. And go, ow, ow, ow. I didn't think that was going to hit me. I didn't see it. What do you mean you didn't see it? What are you looking at, John? You got nothing else to look at.
He might be looking at stats. Listen,
the dude's 84 years old.
They have so many computer screens going at the same time. So,
ow. I just got hit by the ball.
And then to his credit, though, he did come back. He did continue to,
he is a trooper. Isn't he?
He's an 84-year-old guy. Cut him some slack here. I mean, if I got hit with a baseball, I'd be like, shit, dude, it sucks. But anyway, I figured I'd just post that one picture because I figured that would be enough to get you smiling.
Yeah, but off of 2 ricochets, he didn't even get hit squarely.
He's 84 years old. Yeah, see, thank you, Kyle.
Nah, you get no pass, John, on this one. Sorry.
I think here's the thing. I will say, I mean, as somebody who started listening to John Sterling back in around 94, he's been the broadcaster for the Yankees since I think 1990. So I'm pretty sure either this year or maybe next year is going to be the last year for him. Because again, it's you saw what happened with Vince Scully. You saw what happened with Hawk Harrelson. You reach a certain age where the mileage is too much.
Band-Aid on the baseball. Give me a break. Give me a break. Ow.
I'm turning that into a meme. But all right. Anything else, gents, or you think we're good?
The show must go on, John. We get it.
Exactly. But yeah, he like I said, at this point, there's road games that aren't even that he's not even doing anymore. Somebody younger has been tapped, like some 30-year-old guy.
I don't think Vince Scully did any road games that weren't on that were further than the West Coast for like the last 10 years that he was announcing for the Dodgers.
He probably did because
didn't he just do like the division games, like basically like the Cali?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that was basically it.
I don't even think he went to Arizona. I thought
he might not have. He might just stay local.
Stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also
The
kind of like when
Angels, too,
Ken
they play.
Singleton with the Yankees, because Ken Singleton, he lives in Baltimore, so he will do Baltimore games and the occasional Florida. If the Yankees go down there, he'll broadcast there out of his house. But he's like, I'm 75 years old. Why do I even care now? But it's
Don't these guys have enough money? It's
you know what it is. It could be just the fun of it. You know, you feel like you got to do something. It's like in some way, it's
all the
almost
more
like
reason to watch the ball. John.
when you retire, you go back to work. My father did. You know, so it's one of those things that you can set your own schedule, but still do what you want. So I just look at theory, but as far as John Sterling goes, yeah, I think we're pretty much closing this one out. But all right, gentlemen, anything else?
No, we're just about a little more than an hour away from game time.
Yep. Stanley Cup Finals. Game 5 is equally big circumstances. Vegas up 3-1, and frankly, most of these games haven't even been close.
Yeah,
another joke of a series.
7-2. Yeah,
South Florida,
champion this guy picked.
Dude, Florida is currently like
South Florida is the center of the sports universe.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't say anything. I'm going to call it here. But yeah, between that, the Marlins are doing well, second place with a .561 win percentage. So
yeah, that'll end quickly.
They'll come back to reality.
No, it's going to be Florida over the course of this calendar year. It's going to end up being a little mini Philadelphia where we just lose everything.
That's the direction it looks like it's headed.
Except the Rays. The Rays will win the World Series this year. So, hey, I predicted right last April. Last April when we had our thing, I did predict that the Astros were going to win the World Series, and I was right on that one.
Wow,
so I'm
the overwhelming favorite.
Hey, none of you guys did. You picked it all wrong. I'm the only one that got it. So you know what? So
that's all right. I picked Vegas, so I'm happy.
No, I think you're safe on that one. But yeah, so like I said, we'll see what happens there. But Florida, you know what? Kudos. You're suddenly becoming a good sports state for a while.
But let's cool it on the Florida hype up.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
They don't really need that at the moment.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with whatever that was. All right, gents. Call it here. Thanks as always. That's JD. That's Brandon. I'm Scott. Take care until next time. In this case, go Miami. You know what? I kind of want to see this series get stretched out a little bit more. Let's give Brandon a little bit of pride in his team, his beloved Miami Heat.
Yeah.
So they don't actually go out really like crap, and he can actually smile no matter what happens.
And check out our interview coming out later this week with Dan Avidan from Game Grumps.
Yes. We had a good conversation with Dan from Game Grumps, very knowledgeable in the soccer world. So that was a big deal. And we'll see what happens, but could be something special going on there. Anyway, until next time, guys.